Hey, it's Spence from WPLaunchify.com. Today's masterclass is on how do you onboard new users when you've got a hub for your CRM and your sales, and you want to have additional sites give access to those very same people who purchased on your hub. I actually do this myself, where you purchase any of my products and services at WPLaunchify.com, but there may be a remote site that you get access to as part of the bargain. There's two methods for doing this, one of which is the simplest and the one that I actually both recommend and prefer, and the second uses a plugin called WP Remote User Sync. Let's do the first one. I've set up two sites here, and I'm leaving out a lot of details just because there's other videos that cover this. This is my source site on the left, and this is my remote site on the right. I've set up the source site with the following plugins: WooCommerce, WP Fusion. I've also got FluentCRM. There's other plugins, of course, but those are the key ones. On the right-hand side, I simply have WooCommerce and WP Fusion. I do not need to have FluentCRM installed on the remote site because I've connected it as a hub. Think of it literally, as a remote site on the hub. Think of the hub as the parent site on the left, and think of the site on the right as one of the spokes. Multiple sites all connecting into the parent. Now, what I've done is set up a main list so that when anybody gets added with any method whatsoever, they'll be added to the FluentCRM as a contact. The main list is where it will hold them. One of the things that's neat about doing this method is what we're doing is allowing human engineering. Folks who buy from the hub site are given a tag or tags. I clicked this, bought this, subscribed to this, etc. When that is used with the same email that they later go to register and log in on the other site, it becomes very easy to synchronize their access because the tags will work on both sites equally well. Let's set up a product, for example, on the remote site that's a free product. We can do this, by the way, also with a Fluent form, but I'll just do it as a product because it's very simple to demonstrate why we're going to install WooCommerce on a site that otherwise is not selling. By the way, you don't need to do gateways or anything else. This is just so we can use the dashboard, the registration, lost password, and a free product. Add product. Let's make it a really simple free product. With launch flows, when it's installed, this product can basically have something that looks like a registration form as well. My other videos cover this very extensively. But I just want to demonstrate for you, you would set up a product and you would give the person the appropriate tags or tag from the main site. This one is just for registration. Register for free. And we make it a zero price. And for WP Fusion, we really don't need to do anything, but what we could do is we could apply a certain tag that lets us know where the person ultimately got into the system, because this would allow somebody just as easily to register into the CRM as well. So one of the neat things is if this is site number 2, I can make a tag that says registered site 2. And it will dynamically create the tag over on the hub, which is kind of cool. Most importantly, though, we've set this up so it's not a guest checkout. It's a register and automatically log in type of a product. So when somebody buys it, to cut to the chase, they're going to get the tag that will let us know that they registered from site number 2. They will also get registered and logged into the new site as long as the email matches. And in doing so, this will make it that anything they do thereafter will be synchronized to their singular contact profile over here on the main site. Okay, so let's do two things. Let's just finish up this product. We'll make it a zero product. We've got the tags, registered site 2, and since launch flows is here, we're going to send them to the checkout page, which I've not customized in any way yet. What we can do is we can do instant clean sales page, and we can actually make the instant registration. This still has a bunch of extra stuff on it, including like a phone number field, but it's to demonstrate the point of how easy it is to do a free registration. And let's just set a product image from the media library or pixels. It makes no difference. I'll just do this. Now, this allows us to have a place that when somebody buys from the main hub, you give them instructions in your Fluent CRM that says, go to this other site, click on this free product link, or just give them the direct to checkout link. And that will automatically allow them to just essentially register with no extra work on the new site. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to publish. And let's get rid of the pre-publish check. One of the things that I could do as well is I'm going to send them, instead of to anywhere else, I'm going to send them into the My Account area after they've purchased. So I use the same launch flows setup option, except this is for after checkout. Instead of going to the thank you page, which is what I normally do, I'm going to send them to the My Account area. So let's go ahead and do that. These are demo sites on the Insta WP, so sometimes they're a little sluggish while I'm recording. Okay, launch flows, and let's go ahead and choose post checkout. We're going to go to My Account. Normally I send folks to thank you, but I have, in this case, no reason for that. I'm just going to send them into the My Account, or I could send them into the place that I would normally want people to start interacting. Like if this was a community site, maybe I'd send them to the community page. All right, now that I've got that, once this saves, I can just give that link directly when they register and purchase as an email follow-up for somebody to go to the second site. That way they know what to do. And once this saves, we're going to go ahead and get the Launch Flows direct to checkout link for that. Okay, so when we click on product, Launch Flows provides this checkout link. Let's see what happens. If somebody were to use this link because you've given it to them as part of registering on the main site, it's going to put this product directly in the cart, and it will give them the ability to register, log in very quickly and easily. When we customize this, we won't have to show all of this extra billing address information. I don't want to confuse anybody here, so we're just going to leave this as is, right? And you know, Spencer Foreman, 1234 Main Street, Chicago, Illinois 6062. Okay, and place the order. This will take us to the My Account area if everything else is set up. Now, I have not actually checked if I've got it set for register and login, but I'm pretty sure that's the default. When we clean this up, as you can see in my other videos, there's only really first name, last name, email. You don't need all the rest of this information. So it makes it quite a bit easier. Also, we can use the Launch Flows checkout, but as you can see, it worked just fine. Now, with WP Fusion, that particular buyer over there is going to be added to the CRM. Let's go ahead and check. If I go back over to the hub site, we go to contacts. Oh, we're already on that page. Let's refresh. And we can see that we've got the person who registered for free with the link on the remote site is added here. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Likewise, if you were to sell over here, as long as they had that link or were given the directions in your follow-up email, they can replicate exactly what we saw here. They get essentially registered on the second site. Just because I know I'm going to be asked, let me show you how we can make that experience even tighter. If I were to go to the checkout page, instead of using the default checkout, I could use the Launch Flows checkout, which will make it really streamlined, as you'll see in a second, because you won't have to show all that extra stuff. So we just edit the page, and I'll move my mic controls out of the way here. And what we're going to do is remove the checkout block and instead use Launch Flows for checkout, which will trigger the code that will simplify what is displayed when using that link. So let's get rid of the checkout block. And now on the page, we choose add a check. Don't choose that one. On this one, we want to say, yes, actually, add a checkout to this post. Had to make sure that my head was on the right place. Okay, now watch what happens when I take this product and we send the person with that link to the new page that has, remember we put the option in here, instant registration. Let's see what happens now that this is saved. Come on, save for me. Getting there. The Instant WP sites are wonderful, but they don't have a lot of horsepower. So when I do demos with them, sometimes I have to make people understand. It usually takes about 2 seconds for a page to save. This is not normal. Okay. Now we use the direct to checkout link as if they had bought on the first site. And they'll see something that looks more like a registration form, which is just a little easier to manage. And it, again, can be styled differently because we can use the Checkout Manager plugin to remove all these extra fields. We really don't need address and all this stuff. So when I do it, I do first name, last name, email only, place order, done and done. All right. Now we know how you can get somebody over to the second site. Human engineering is as long as you tell them and remind them, use the same email, it's good. Let's do the plugin method number 2, which is WP User Sync. For that, I'm going to go ahead and I've installed the plugin on both sites just for expediency. Let's go ahead, move me over and install that plugin because that plugin allows one direction or two directional sync of the users. Not of the contacts, but of the users. And then WP Fusion and Fluent do the rest of the job. This is a more bulletproof way to manage that everybody is always in sync across multiple sites, but it does come at a cost. You have to understand that your websites have to talk to one another. And if you have this connected, even though it's got efficient methods for doing so, there's constant traffic between each of the sites in your hub to the hub, and it's going to take horsepower. That's one of the reasons I don't like it. The second reason I don't like it is because I just would rather know that somebody took the time to click the link from the email and went to the new site and used a form or a free product, as I've shown you, to register. Otherwise, it's like giving out movie theater tickets and you've just pre-registered everybody at the movie theaters, but you don't really know whether they actually bothered to go there. So let's turn on the second method, now that I've given you ample warnings against it. It's WP Remote User Sync. And here it's WP Remote User Sync. You have to install it on the hub and all of the remote sites. And I pre-configured this slightly, but it's really quite easy to configure. I'm going to show you what we've got. All you need to do is add each of the remote sites to the ones you want it to sync with. And it's more like a daisy chain than anything else because it's not a literal hub. If we go back over here, we can use the link to WP Remote User Sync. Let's go to Settings. And here we'll go to Settings. And the setup is pretty straightforward. Notice I've put in remote user destination Insta WP. That's this site here. When I added it, I also said which actions do I want outgoing from this to there and incoming from there to here. This is 100% synced up. You can do customization beyond this if you need as well, but this is like basically log in, log out, create, user update, even passwords. Keeps them synced. If they change it one place, it changes them both. I'm not a fan of that because that tends to cause its own problems, but just know you can do it. For security, you need to put an encryption key in here and you have to have it matching one here. So here's just some random string that I put in on these demos. I copied that here and here and here and here. So both sites need to have the same security key. Now you will have activity logs that will show what's working, and there's other tons of setups you can do, but that's basically all that's necessary. When you do this, here's the difference. If I create a new user on the hub, watch what happens. You pay the price for a busy site if you use this convenience, like I've said. But watch this. Add new user. Let's say this is from selling a product, or it's from registering for a community or anything. I'll call this test user. Okay, so let's continue. Make test user 2 at test.com. Use the same email. And this way we'll put a name in just so we recognize it. Test user 2. All right, all the rest of this stuff is fine, but what we want to make sure is, let's make sure we add them to FluentCRM. That's important. And the rest of it isn't really super important because we're just putting them in as an example to show you how the synchronization is going to work. So here on the main hub, whether it had been through FluentCRM, through a form, through a WooCommerce product, or something else, once they're added to the hub, it will synchronize automatically. And not only will their tags and custom field data be synchronized with WP Fusion, but the user will be created on the other site. Let's go over here, cross your fingers, and we're going to go to users, and let's see if we see test user 2. And there they are. So let's shrink that down a bit so you can see test user 2 at test.com. Here's a neat thing. When we go over here, now that they're synchronized together, let's go over to the FluentCRM contacts. And then I'm going to edit this particular user on the remote site, and I'm going to give them a new tag. Let's see what they've got before I do that. Inside of their FluentCRM hub contact profile, we see that they're on the main list because obviously we created them. We have no tags here. Let's go ahead and give them a tag. For this, we can edit this manually using WP Fusion, and we'll choose registered site 2. That would have normally been given had we created them over there, but I'm going to do it as if it had been done that way. When I do that, that person is already synced. This stuff, user metadata, is going to be synchronized as well by WP Fusion and or the WP User Sync plugin, so that both the user on this side will be existing and the contact profile. By the way, I didn't show you that the test user will also be here, because remember when I set up that configuration for WP User Sync, I had said both directions. So if I go over here to users, STU, all users, we're going to see two things. We're going to see hopefully the test user 2. They're there. And once I've synchronized, I'm not sure if that's finished yet, we should see the tags as well. At the point we're at now, it hasn't resynced yet. That's not unusual. The reason being, WP Fusion by default saves the energy of talking back and forth to the remote sites until somebody's actually tried to come and do something on this site. So I'm just going to force it to see if we get the tag synchronized. And let's reload to see if that shows up. And it does. And I'd expect also when I go over here, inside of our contact profile, we're going to see the same when I refresh. So refreshing the page. And there we go. So let's recap. We've got 2 methods that you can use for synchronizing users, even though you basically are connecting the multiple sites around a hub just by using WP Fusion and your CRM of choice, in this case, FluentCRM. When you want to have the actual users create their own account, all you need to do is to create either a free registration form with Fluent Forms or a free product using WooCommerce, which can be modified to take them where you want them to go and only ask for the data that they need. If they do that, you have to make sure that the link or the information they use is for their existing email that was used for registering them on the main site. Now, if you can bear the overhead, you can use method 2, which is the WP User Sync plugin, in which case you get kind of unlimited user creation, user synchronization back and forth between the hub and any number of remote sites. You can even do it amongst the sites on the rim of the wheel. But there is a cost to doing so, which is that the site performance will potentially be noticeable if you have high traffic. And there's other issues like the password, which I alluded to. I would not enable the password synchronization under any circumstances. Why? Because most people use their Chrome browser or their Safari browser for managing passwords. And as soon as you synchronize that, it's going to give them a scratching their head moment of, why isn't my stored password working? So I would leave that off. The rest of it hopefully has given you a good insight on how you can manage this stuff. If you use the simpler method, you can't go wrong. I'm using it myself. I'll see you on the next masterclass.